Excellent question. We'll be screening candidates to fill the empty seats very soon.
Will the council be more diverse? Because I, for one, would like to see more women in positions of authority.
And more people of color.
And more people of color!
Hostile Makeover is the premiere episode of Season 6. It first aired on January 31st, 2016, and was written by Jackson Public. In it, the Ventures move into their new digs in New York City. Meanwhile, the new Council of 13 scrambles to regain order in the wake of the Sovereign's betrayal. After arriving in JJ's former home in New York, Hank and Dean pick out bedrooms previously occupied by the Impossibles. Hank gets Ned's old room, but Dean actually gets Rocket's old room, which you wouldn't know unless you had a copy of the art book, which states, Dean's room was intended to have been Rocket's room. Rocket Impossible is Sally's young son with Professor Impossible. Rocket would be 3 or 4 years old and a boy genius. He's a prodigy. So Dean's bedroom has got a lot of the science stuff in it already, and some equations Rocket was working out. If I remember correctly, it was supposed to be the equation to break down the science and physics of a curveball. The pirate captain was probably like, hey, so you want to throw the ball around? Trying to get him to be a real little boy. And then, of course, the kid has to go and figure out what the physics of baseball are before he can engage in it or enjoy it in any way. Throughout the episode, Hank wears various outfits similar to ones worn by Justin Bieber in the real world. It is really difficult to Google Justin Bieber's outfits from back then in the year 2022. In this episode, we're introduced to the Crusaders Action League, which consists of Warriana, Fallen Archer, Stars and Garters, and Night Dick. Warriana is an obvious riff on Wonder Woman, who is missing one breast because of a myth about Amazon women removing one breast to prevent anything getting in their way during combat. Fallen Archer is an archery-themed hero akin to Green Arrow or Hawkeye, whose name is a pun on a condition that I think is the same as having flat feet. Stars and Garters borrows his name from a pretty outdated expression of astonishment. Oh, my stars and garters. And he's a riff on Captain America. Also, we're introduced to his secret identity, Tosh Tompkins, who, much like Rose Wayland being Triple Threat, was supposed to be more obvious than it worked out to be. And finally, Night Dick, who seems to be based on Frank Miller's The Spirit. Dr. Venture likens the Crusaders Action League to the cast of Godspell, which I know nothing about, but a quick Google search and yeah, that checks out. Tosh Tompkins refers to Jared as Mark Knopfler, who is the frontman of Dire Straits and well known for often wearing a headband. 21 is dressed like the Naked Cowboy, who is a street performer of about 20 years, famous for wearing nothing but tighty-whities and a cowboy hat while playing his guitar in Times Square. Brown Widow makes his return in this episode after he first appeared in Bright Lights Teen City, and we see him for the first time as his secret identity, Jared. As Jared, he has to wear a headband to hide his extra eyes, which you only see for a brief moment in Bright Lights Teen City. We also get our first look at Stormfront in his full costume. Previously, we only saw him in his underwear in Any Which Way But Zeus. To express his dismay at the idea of Phantom Limb being the Sovereign, Phineas Phage says,
No way! If Phantom Limb is the Sovereign, I'm moving to Canada!
Which is a reference to the fact that the Peril Partnership is based in Canada, while also being a cliche thing that Americans say when they're unhappy with the current president. Hank buys Dean a pet giraffe, which he dubs Mr. Reachmore, a reference to his stuffed giraffe, Mr. Ricci. This episode features the proper debut of Wide Whale, who was technically in Dunwich Asylum, but we just have to let that one go. Physically, he looks a lot like the DC character Tobias Whale. His last name is spelled W-A-L-E, not W-H-A-L-E. A wide whale, W-A-L-E, refers to the width of the lines in corduroy clothing, and corduroy clothing is exactly why Wide Whale is so loud when he walks.
I just really want to thank you for seeing me, Wide Whale. It's no secret that New Yorkers wear a lot of the Guild's top-tier villain type helmets. Can you even hear me?
We also meet his daughter Serena. Serena is also spelled weird, S-I-R-E-N-A, which is meant to evoke the sirens from Greek mythology who would lure sailors to their death with enchanting music. And Pirate Captain continues to have a problem with tranquilizers, as we first saw in the Lepidopterists.
Oh, yes! Oh, it's like getting sucked off by an angel. A sweet angel with a tranquilizer.
Perhaps the most astounding feat Jackson and Doc ever pulled off was moving the Ventures to New York City without it ever feeling weird. On the contrary, this somehow manages to feel like a brand new show and the same old show at the same time. It's a testament to the strength of the characters that you can drop them in a totally new situation and they still act in the organic way you'd expect. On the subject of this particular episode, I like it quite a bit. They tease some interesting stuff with Hank and Serena, they show off a new atmosphere for Dean, Stuyvesant University, they bring back Brock in a way that makes sense, although I am kind of sad about hatred being backburnered. The move to New York City could have easily been the perfect jump the shark demarcation, but it wasn't. They nailed it. I love the New York City era, and I love the Venture Brothers. As always, thank you for watching and go Team Venture. Tune in next week for Maybe No Go. If you dug this video, share it with a friend, and if there was some huge glaring thing that I missed in this video, follow me on Instagram at Ventureverse Guide to see these videos a week early and offer your input before I upload the final product.